I don't know about you, but I don't experience the world primarily through stories or beliefs. I happen to notice systems, patterns, feedback loops, and I found out late, but I see the world this way because I'm autistic, and instead of trains or sports, I just so happen to be fascinated with ego, time, and the cyclical nature of pleasure. And so when I watch how humans talk about self, ego, change, I see a recurring and devastating structural error quietly running beneath everything. Maybe you do too, I don't know. This isn't philosophical or spiritual, at least it's not meant to be, even though those genres will try to claim it, or whatever of it is true. No, this is simply living, and I don't mean to sound any kind of way when I say that, but it's the most accurate way for me to put it. This is living. This book is not meant to be an argument, a teaching, nor a solution. It's an examination of a malfunction in how we identify, and how that misidentification shapes loneliness, effort, and the endless attempt to fix ourselves unfolds through what I have to say. And though I may notice all this, I'm no less wrapped up in it than anyone else. Each section begins with a very careful and simple question. And as we comb through it, it seems to me an answer reveals itself. And so without beating around the bush any further, let's get into the first question. Am I separate from ego? When one observes the world, the way we speak, the way we live, it becomes apparent that human beings all over the world feel separate from. We are lonely, we're isolated, we're out for our own ambitions, rightly or wrongly. Occasionally, we come together and seek comfort or pleasure, but the majority of our daily lives is spent pursuing and attaining our personal desires. The experts tell us it's your ego which creates such a selfish, materialistic way of living. They say, be free of your ego, defeat your ego, overcome your ego. But not enough so-called experts steady themselves to the degree that they are free to wonder what it is they are even saying. What is ego? Who or what is supposed to free me of it? The word ego means the self, that which feels, acts, or thinks. It is another word for I, in quotes. So what? So, since it is now clear that ego equals I, what is truly being conveyed by the sentiment, my ego? The further one goes into this, the more necessary it becomes to clarify what one is referring to when one even uses the subjective I or my. And so one asks, seriously, what is I? Not who. When one refers to oneself, what is it exactly one is referring to? A name? A title? An object? An experience? A hobby or interest? A symbol? All of these have the potential to change over time. Therefore, who one is cannot be a static entity throughout one's life if one is looking to grow, build, and be a dynamic human being. And so the traditionally obsessed over questioning of who am I loses all meaning and logic. Essentially, one is always referring to things in one's past, which one is identified with. So what? So I is an accumulation of one's past. what is the past? The past is time, which means necessarily I is a subjective symbol for time held within the brain as a memory within the individual. And so, when one refers to self, or I, one is referring to the past. Without the past, one has no reference point for self or me. So, what? So, I equals time conjured from the brain through memory into the present moment. And what is memory? Memory is thought. One cannot have any new thoughts. Anything one can think of is, however absurd or bizarre, only doable in relation to what one knows or has experienced. So what? So I equals time, which equals thought. Therefore, I is a thought. So, when one says, you must control your ego, making of ego a separate entity within oneself, they are missing a fundamental point which, when noticed, turns that statement into a completely illogical fallacy. The ego is you. I is ego. There's absolutely no separation between me or I and ego. It is one movement of thought. And so, when this is not noticed, what takes place? One then tries, via different practices, theories, and concepts, to dissolve the ego, but this is nonsensical. Why? I equals ego equals thought equals time. It's all one thing. Practices, plans, theories, or methods all take time to implement. And so the plan to dissolve ego is an abstraction of thought, which can only act as a sustainer of ego necessarily. And so the plan to dissolve ego is an abstraction of thought, which can only act as a sustainer of ego necessarily. And thus, the illogical nature of such a proposition is revealed. The ego, the constituent which one seeks to rid oneself of, abstracts itself and calls itself I, or me. So then, essentially, one is saying, I, time, must put a plan, take time, to dissolve my ego. Ego equals me equals time. And so we structure the need for change around the notion of time-based principles, which one will discover is antithetical to fundamental radical change. And further, since time is a measurement, it has inherent limitations. And so time, which is thought, is limited. Therefore, one's plans, thoughts, for change are inherently limited and doomed to spoil, whether in the near or distant future. Thus, creating the world we live in presently, wherein people may change incrementally on superficial levels, but by and large do not radically change on a fundamental level. So then one says, so what do I do now? Equals thought equals time equals ego, meaning there is nothing to do about it. This is to be observed, and in observation without separation, one sees in one's daily life, moment by moment, all the fallacies of self. And as the false is revealed, one ceases to see oneself as a small, separate entity who must battle the world, and instead notices that the whole universe is one. And therefore, is able to move intelligently and with that fact made clear. And just to clarify, moving intelligently does not mean everlasting bliss, smiling 24/7, or anything some snake oil salesman or guru may try to sell you. Far from it. Intelligence is literally the art or skill of discernment. So intelligence is knowing that emotions are not good or bad, but rather like clouds passing through the human organism indiscriminately. To the degree that one truly sees this is to the same degree that one can live free of the past. And so we circle back to the question, am I separate from ego? Answer, no. In the next video for The Missing Link, Volume 1, we'll be diving into the question of what is meant by the question, who am I? Until next time, take it easy.